had some haters in my corner. I was like, not only am I going to finish, I'm going to finish as quickly as possible.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 5. We are revisiting our predictions and evening up on our bets from our 2022 season.
And Catherine, how do you feel considering you literally just evened up on your bet, your shoey bet? I think you just drank, an entire Topo Chico seltzer out of your own shoe.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have done it with a pineapple. Pineapple's my least favorite Topo Chico flavor. I thought it'd be fine since it was just chugging really quickly, but I can see why there are faces made during the podium celebrations if you're doing a shoey, because it was hard. You can't really keep your composure. I don't think that the video is probably very flattering or
au contraire, you looked amazing. Do you think that the pineapple was made better or worse by the je ne sais quoi of your shoe? You know, the de Catherine.
That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking.
You're so welcome.
I actually chose a shoe that was pretty old. I've actually had that shoe in my closet.
Oh, so it marinated.
Yeah, sure. Or the germs died. That's what I was thinking about in my head.
It's aged.
It's an
aged shoey.
Aged shoey, just like a fine wine.
Yeah,
so,
that's what they say.
Yeah, I was okay with that. I did find a hair in my shoe at some point, which really just
Was it your own?
I'm hoping so.
That was difficult to watch you uncover, I'm not going to lie. I'm honestly impressed with all of the shoey bets that I made last year that none of them came true. To be fair, they were all in the favor of McLaren doing well or Daniel Ricciardo doing well, so I guess that fits. But for all the game I talked last season about doing a shoey, I'm impressed that I didn't have to do any.
I thought I was going to be really safe making a Latifi bet.
Yeah.
I mean, Latifi was famous for obviously finding some way to exit the race.
Do you mean Goat Tiffy? Because the man scored points.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like that was a pretty safe bet. In hindsight, I feel like the bet should have been reversed, where if Daniel Ricciardo didn't get a podium, I had to do a shoey,
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it worked too much in my favor for last season. But you know what? Sitting here today after watching you drink out of your shoe, boy, am I glad that Daniel Ricciardo had a terrible season.
Also, the accidental poetry there.
Yeah.
Love the rhyme. But Jack, you did have a bet that you evened up on, not today, but yesterday.
Yeah, so Catherine and I, back, I don't know if Ricciardo Gate, McLaren Gate.
Yeah, it was about that time.
Back when it hadn't been officially released, but there were rumors brewing amongst the paddock that McLaren was cheating on Danny Rick, and I didn't believe it. I was blinded.
You're so loyal.
To what was right in front of me. Loyal to a fault, ladies. Loyal to a fault. And I made the bet that, Catherine and I made a bet. Depending on the outcome, one of us would have to climb the stairs to Catherine's apartment, which is, high up in the building, over 30 flights of stairs.
32 to be exact.
And, I came out on the wrong side of that bet. But I will say, okay, yesterday, as I was preparing, obviously haven't done a ton of cardio recently, but Catherine didn't even believe that I would make it 32 flights of stairs.
Okay, here's the thing. You really underestimated yourself. Not only did I think you were going to finish, I thought you were going to finish in half the time that you thought, and then you actually finished in a third of the time that I guessed. First of all, Catherine, that was straight up hater behavior to say that Jack could not do 32 flights of stairs.
Okay.
Under 6 minutes.
This comes with a backstory, okay? The last time I was on a Stairmaster, I was in college, and the machine broke. Well, okay. I didn't know exactly how to use the machine, to be fair. And I like
You broke a Stairmaster in college?
no,
How have I not heard this story?
I was like, why isn't this working? Kept on like pushing the speed up, and then I realized it's just like a little bit of a delayed effect. So I was kind of, catapulted, I might say, off the back of the stairs.
I'm sorry, what?
So I have not been on a Stairmaster since, and 32 flights of stairs sound like a lot of flights of stairs.
Is there a video of this?
Absolutely not.
I want
Why would there be a
security
video of
footage.
this?
Like, I want security footage from your IU gym, because watching you being catapulted off a Stairmaster, I've never wanted footage more of anything aside from maybe when you were in the American Girl doll catalog.
That is still very under wraps. Thank you, Mary.
And I did check the local library. They don't have a copy. I'm so mad.
I feel like if we go down to the archives, they have to let us view it. They have to.
No, they told me to like check with the public library. I actually emailed the American Girl doll store. Anyway, long story short, there's just more footage of you that I need to seek out apparently. But still hater behavior that you didn't think Jack could do 32 flights of stairs.
It's not that I didn't believe in Jack. It was the fact that I don't actually know how to estimate the amount of stairs that people can climb.
To be fair, I thought it was going to take her 15 minutes, which is like very generous. And if you were straight up walking, which you ran up
You
the
started
first
off
10
really
flights.
strong.
I did like the first 10 flights in like a minute. And then I like was breathing a little
Yeah,
heavy,
we popped out on the 20th floor, and I'm like, Jack,
We
where
can
are
hear
ya?
you coming.
but still under 6 minutes. Still
Yeah,
under
yeah.
6 minutes.
That's
I
great.
mean, I thought it was going to take me a lot longer than that. I mean, I don't run stairs normally, so
Right.
I conceptually had no way to gauge.
Yeah, you said 30 minutes, which I was like, 30 minutes for one flight
In hindsight-
is like fucking crab walking, not even crawling.
In hindsight, a little much. I didn't really do the mental math.
Like
there.
factory in breaks. I thought you might,
Yeah.
like take a break or two.
Yeah.
No, I went straight through. It was
Yeah,
like,
you really
I'm-
did. You powered. You
Yeah.
powered through.
We actually like planned a lot more time to the point where I tried to get off the elevator at the 10th floor to catch Jack, and by that point, Catherine was like, no, you gotta come up to 22. Like, this girl's cruising.
I'm already almost up.
And then I would just listen. I just stuck my head in the stairwell, would like listen for a little bit, and eventually I could hear the breathing. So I was like,
I was
she's
breathing
coming.
heavy towards the end. Well, I'm competitive. I had some haters in my corner. I was like,
Mostly
not only am
Catherine.
I going to finish, I'm going to finish as quickly as possible.
Didn't mean to be a hater, Jack. Sorry about that.
My faith never wavered.
Thanks, Mare. Now you know why I always side with Ferrari over Red Bull.
Oh, please.
But Catherine, I mean, I gotta give credit where credit's due to you. You did not one, but technically 3 shoeies, because we did make you finish the entire Topo Chico, which it was kind of unclear when we made the bet if it was you have to finish 1 drink in your shoe or just 1 shoe's worth of drink.
Yeah.
But I like that you erred on the side of caution, and like, I respect that. I really respect that you committed to the
appreciate
bit.
that.
You looked miserable the entire time.
Yeah, I wasn't having fun. Not something I want to do every weekend.
But you did it. Good for you.
Well, speaking of bets for last season, now that we settled up, what bets are we making this season, ladies?
See, I feel like now that we've very recently settled them up, and like, I'm speaking as the only person who didn't lose a bet, it's a little more real though, right?
Like,
It's like,
what bets did you make that you didn't have to settle up on?
okay, mostly around Seb and Aston Martin, and like, they did not pull through last season.
Yeah, I feel like we gotta do the reverse. Like,
Yeah.
if your team doesn't pull through, then you're the one doing the
Agreed. I feel like
Awesome.
we made opposite bets last year.
Great. Love
Well-
this for me.
Now we have we're representing, the 3, I would say, top teams on the grid. Do we make a bet the lowest one at the end of the season?
Yes.
It's gonna be me.
That's hard because I feel like Catherine has an unfair advantage in this.
No, because like, I think we need to make something that doesn't involve Red Bull, because it's just like not fun.
God, what a loser mentality.
Like I said, Catherine's a fucking hater.
Sheesh.
It's the one Topo Chico get into my head.
That pineapple right to the brain.
Whew, I am allergic to pineapple.
Okay, so I feel like we should find our hottest takes and make the bets off those. Like, I feel like, for example, in our predictions, I got really specific with one of my bets, which was Logan Sargent scoring points in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that was very specific.
It was very specific. I don't think it's like a particularly hard thing for him to do, but I do feel like there's like a solid 50-50 chance he does it or not. I'd be willing to make a bet on that. Like, if Logan does not score points in Vegas, I would do a shoey. I'll put a shoey on that.
Okay.
Okay, she just signed herself up for a shoey.
Okay, Sargent's been pretty good. We're 2 races in, and he's very promising.
Yeah, but like in Vegas, I'm gonna let you have it because I'm not gonna battle you.
Yeah,
for
like,
this.
do you want to watch me do a shoey or not?
It's
like,
fine, yeah, go for it.
I'm the one who didn't lose any bets
Pop
last
off, queen.
season, so...
Yeah. I was going to give you a little bit more wiggle room, like a couple races towards the end of the season, or just in general.
But you know, that's solid. We're locking that down.
Yeah.
Vegas points.
You heard
Logan.
it here first. Like, I said we should take... Okay, because, like, yes, making a bet off the top teams, Red Bull, fine. But, like, I made a really specific prediction.
Okay.
So I'll take a really specific bet, you know?
I think I'll take, you know, if Stroll's over, what was it? 7?
5.
5?
5.
Stroll's over 5 crashes.
I took the over, Jack took the under.
I think I want to take the under. I think he's going to be under. So if he is over 5 crashes,
Then you'll do shoey.
then I'll do shoey.
But this also, that counts, just so we know, just to clarify, that counts, like, anything with damage to his car, even if he doesn't retire from the race. So even if he just has to change a front wing, we counted that as a crash.
All right.
Okay. Just for fairness, restating here.
I mean, it's a couple races in, negative on the Stroll counter.
So here's the thing,
yeah.
Jack. You are also on the under, so are you going to do a shoey if he goes over? Similar to Catherine?
I don't want to sign myself up for too many shoey bets. I'm thinking about making a different one.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. What's yours?
I'm predicting that Daniel Ricciardo will make some appearance on the track at some point.
Okay.
On the track or on the grid?
Yeah, like, is he gonna, are you saying he gets to race for, like, a free practice, or you're
Yes.
saying he, like, actually competes in a Grand Prix?
Yes, I'm saying that he will be in a Red Bull car competing in some point in the weekend. Whether it's a practice session, whether it's
No, that's too broad, I feel like. Like, okay, him doing a practice versus...
I think he has to do, I mean, I'm almost positive he'll do a practice.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would put him out there in place of a different driver, because honestly, after diving into, I watched something on Twitter. This is where this is all coming from. Red Bull really needed to rehab their image. So I really do think they only have Daniel Ricciardo on their roster to just rehab their image. I don't think that they plan to put him in the car at all.
I agree with that. I think it's mostly a PR stunt.
I think it's a PR stunt. I think it would take some act of God to actually have him on the grid at any point in time.
I don't know if it's an act of God, but I do think it's like, okay, somebody's injured and or ill for a weekend. Like, let's say Perez or Verstappen falls ill and they have their reserve driver, like, it's going to be Daniel. You know, so I don't think it's ridiculous to see him racing in a race weekend as a reserve driver, like, if they're sick or injured.
No, see, I think he'll be in for a practice because they have to do that young driver program. So I think they'll have Daniel do one of those, and then whatever their other reserve driver is, do another.
But Daniel's not young.
Yeah, I think they will just
Neither
take
is Kubica, but he's still jumping in the car each year.
Fair.
I feel like they would pref a different driver to do those sessions.
I think they would put Daniel in for a free practice simply for the publicity. Again,
That could work.
I think he's on the team for PR reasons. I
Yeah.
think they're going to put him in the car for PR reasons.
Okay, so maybe take it.
Yeah,
Maybe-
circle back
yeah.
to your bet. Do you think he just has to be in for a practice, or do you think he has to actually compete in a Grand Prix?
No, just in for a practice. Because I think that the odds of him actually competing in a Grand Prix are pretty low.
Yeah.
Like, Max was sick ahead of the last
Yeah,
race,
last
and he
GP.
pulled through. It does take...
Pulled through.
He pulled through. I mean, just like his the
Yeah,
driver's mentality, they are not going to miss a race unless they're, like, strapped to a hospital bed. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Lance. They put screws in his arm to get him in the car.
Lance Stroll, truly the epitome of
Just-
driving to survive. You know?
Just doing the most. I feel like it's going to take... You don't see reserve drivers come onto the grid often. It's really been for COVID the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if Daniel doesn't make an appearance on the track at all behind the wheel, you're
Yes.
saying you'll do a shoey.
Yep.
Does this include like hot laps or, any of those other like
I think it at
fun
least
laps?
has to be like an F1 sanctioned.
Yes, like
Alright.
part of the weekend. Like he's
Alright.
doing a free practice, he's in for qualifying, he's in for the race.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of a gimme, but okay. We'll take it. I mean, you did just lose a bet about having to run up 32
Yeah,
flights of stairs.
I'm being a little bit more conservative with my bets this season. Thank you.
Respect. I'm kind of wilding out. Like, I didn't lose any, so.
Yeah, you really are wilding out.
I still think we should do the top 3 team bet, and that's also why I'm not trying to make too crazy of other bets,
I
because
think we
there's a
should,
good chance that my team comes in third.
Really, Jack, what you're saying is this is a bet between you and I.
Pretty much.
You never
And
know where the season's
I-
gonna take us,
True,
gals.
true.
Love Ferrari, but I don't trust them. So, okay, Jack, whatever of the big 3 teams defined here as Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, whichever of those 3 teams comes in the lowest position in the Constructors' Championship, what does that person have to do? I feel like not a shoey. Like, we've made too many shoey bets. It should be something a little more creative.
I feel like you have to jump in the lake.
Fully clothed?
Fully clothed.
Okay. Deal.
Wow, that is a bet. I don't know if I love that bet.
Jumping in the lake fully clothed?
Yeah, that makes me really nervous.
Oh, shit. The season ends in December.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, can we put a time on? Okay, you don't have to do it in December.
But when are you going to do it then?
When it warms up enough to not
Like 6
pose
months
a-
later?
Not 6 months. I feel
No,
like when there's
but,
not
like, this time of
ice
year.
in the water.
No, but like
you know?
March. Okay, end of March. Like, let's be reasonable, right? Like, we don't want any of our friends to, die.
I wasn't going to go that far. I just thought I would get hypothermia. but-
Exactly. That
We
can lead to
live
you dying.
so close to the lake.
But
It's
that's
a skip over there.
A long walk when you're in freezing cold water
Bring
in
us some
freezing
spare
cold
clothes,
conditions. I'm
some
gonna change on the I'm just gonna
blankets.
change in front of everyone.
Here's the thing. I'm here
Okay,
for the fully
that
clothed
was-
lake jump, and I'm here for it as soon as the temperature is reasonable. Okay?
It took us this long to settle up on bets.
Exactly.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm okay with that. And I'm saying this as somebody who's probably gonna fucking do it because Ferrari sucks ass. And I
It's
love
true.
them.
It's
But
true.
I don't trust them. We'll do it on like the soonest reasonable day. No ice in the water. A day like today, right? It was like 40.
And the sailboats are out.
It's cold in that water.
It is cold in that water. You're right. But
Even in July, it's cold. Like I don't go in the lake in July.
grow up. People do polar plunges. I have jumped in the lake when there was ice.
I
in
have
it.
done a polar plunge before. I did not enjoy
Exactly.
it.
You'll be fine.
Fine. I agree. I'll do it.
Cheers, ladies, to the lowest constructor jumping in the fucking freezing waters of Lake Michigan.
Enjoy.
Can't wait.
I would just love for the season to take
Yeah.
a complete opposite turn and Red Bull just be destroyed, which
I'm really
It's
looking
likely not
forward
gonna
to my
happen.
double DNF for Red Bull when it's like very crucial in the season, and then Ferrari and Mercedes pull ahead, and Catherine jumps in the lake fully clothed. I think it's going to be very wonderful for everyone.
time will tell.
I don't see it in my future.
No, I don't either.
But watch me be this cocky all season and then
A girl can
just
dream.
really, yeah.
It's a long season, ladies. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Anything can happen.
Okay, so now that we've made some just outrageous bets
I would say mine's pretty safe.
for the 2023 season, I feel like have a lot to look forward to. We've got Australia coming up. I feel like there's not a ton of paddock drama yet, but I feel like there's a little bit, right? Like what's been happening?
I feel like with the other teams not performing as Red Bull's performing right now, it's made a lot of like those still top teams very uncomfortable to where they're making changes. I've heard Mercedes is going to change up their car pretty significantly. And I think we just recently found out that it was actually Lewis Hamilton's idea to change up his trainer, Angela, for this season, which I think we're all pretty surprised about. And surprised that it came from Lewis and not from Angela.
Also, do we know who his new trainer is, or like it still remains to be seen?
I don't know yet.
I haven't seen anything, but I haven't been looking that hard to be
Yeah.
honest. But yeah, I was really shocked by that news, which we talked a little bit about how that can shake up a driver's headspace, having something different. Maybe Lewis and his performance last season, he just sensed, I'm not in my groove and I need to do something drastic to shake it up. And that's really going to pay off for Lewis, or it's really not. And then I think that begs the question from Mercedes' perspective, is he ever going to win a world championship again?
I do think that Lewis is in like a particularly interesting position as a driver, because I feel like he's been a part of that team for so long and he's been such a driving force for that team. But at the same time, if Mercedes is thinking about longevity, like, yes, they obviously want Lewis to get his 8th championship, break the record under their name. But at the same time, I feel like they're starting to look at the team overall. Russell's very promising. Russell's very consistent.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that they are the ones who scooped Mick Schumacher, as a reserve or, third driver, whatever have you. And I feel like as they're starting to think about their future, now that Russell is really settling into the team, I kind of wonder what that looks like for Lewis, and if there comes a point where I don't think Mercedes is going to necessarily like kick him out, right? Like, from the outside looking in, Lewis Hamilton is still the most well-known name in motorsport, period, right? Of this generation, he is kind of above and beyond a lot of people, so it's not somebody that you're going to like kick off your team
Right.
by any means, even if he is starting to enter his sunset era, which, again, we're not necessarily saying that, especially now that we have a Mercedes fan at the table. But I feel like you do have to start thinking about the future of the team, because he's just like, he is a little older, right? He's not the oldest driver on the grid. That's our boy Alonso. But like, I feel like Alonso he's just a different breed, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Lewis is already starting to think about what his next move might be. And so I'm sure Mercedes is as well. What does that look like? Who is the next driver going to be for them? And so I wonder if they're going to try to pivot Lewis into a different position within the team, or if it's just going to be kind of like a Lewis goes and does his own thing, and then they just like bring up a new generation of talent.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing with Mercedes is that they've built this entire team around Lewis for however many years, right? And so now that they're not winning like they used to, and not necessarily, obviously, Lewis's fault, but just in general, they need to make some changes and look towards the future. And just given his age and obviously like what he's been talking about in his own future, it's not going to involve him on the grid for 10 years from now, right? So I think they're changing things up. I think he needs a refresh. Just like when you get in any routine, like he's been in this routine with Angela for 6 years. So, I mean, I understand it, but it was just kind of shocking, especially just how highly he talks about Angela and the team. And
well, I feel like this kind of makes me want to revisit our conversation that we had a couple episodes ago about engineers. Like, Bono is famously Lewis's engineer. So I wonder, and I think they actually, as a driver-engineer team, work relatively well together compared to some other pairs on the grid. But I wonder at what point, like, how do you make those changes within the team about whether or not it's working? Because, I mean, obviously, as a Ferrari girl, right, like, I feel like the classic pair that you can see not working on the grid is Charles Leclerc and his engineer. But I feel like, like you constantly see these like memes and jokes, right? About like they just like barely work as a pair. So I wonder, is Ferrari going to make a change like with his engineer? And I feel like that's one of those like making a change with your trainer feels like a very significant change.
yeah.
And like what warrants that big of a change for a driver?
Well, I got to play devil's advocate here and ask the question, since it's so early into the season, and I feel like if Lewis was looking for a change up, he would have done this prior to the season beginning. Did something happen?
That's true, because we're a couple races in when this was announced. I'm kind of surprised that it is
that begs to question, like, did something happen? And I'm not saying that something happened that, was intentional, and what that could be, I don't know, but it makes me feel like it's not just he needed to shake up. I know I just said this, but he needed to change, and that was one of the most obvious things that he could change, and it might pay off, it might not. Maybe something happened between him and Angela, and it's just no longer a productive relationship, and he had to let her go.
Maybe.
I mean, I think that's a good question, right? Like, and I don't know that we'll ever know the answer, but I mean, I think it's worth asking.
Speaking of changes on the grid, did you see McLaren has done a restructuring of their team?
Really?
For their engineers. Yep. So instead of having one strategic engineer, they have 3. So the guy, I guess, that was at the top, I don't know, I remember his name from the article, but now they have 3 strategic engineers, just because I think that's going to help them during the race day.
Interesting. I wonder how, if you went from like one centralized position of a person making calls to a decentralized, you have 3 different people, like, how does that actually look on race day? Like, who's making the call and who gets to make the final call?
Yeah, I feel like I'm sure they have something planned for like who actually makes that last final call. But maybe it's a good idea to get, like other perspectives in the mix, so it's not just all in one person. I mean, I think we've all dealt with issues of having like 3 bosses in the mix, and that can be difficult when you're making strategy calls, but I'm sure they have something figured out, so hopefully we actually see that play out on race day.
Good. They needed to do something.
Yeah.
Clearly what they're doing right now isn't working. So they needed to change something.
Right.
Well, speaking of bets, I know, Jack, you were saying that, like, hot take, if McLaren keeps going down the path they're on, you don't think Zach Brown's going to be there.
Yeah, I do still stand by that, but I think that's a little too spicy of a prediction.
You don't want to make a bet?
For me to put a shoey on it. I think that was a little out of left field, like very...
But correct me if I'm wrong, he's not actually team principal, right?
No, he's CEO.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that they will look for a change in leadership if this season does not go well. Especially with the strategy calls that were made last season and just the general trend of McLaren's performance over the past couple years.
And I think we're kind of seeing that play out already, right? Like, they're already making these strategy calls, so...
Yeah, hopefully it works. I feel for our boy Lando.
Yeah. Did you see that he went golfing with Lewis Hamilton this past weekend?
I did.
Yep, I saw that.
I thought that was kind of cute. I didn't, necessarily see that coming.
Yeah. I think it just kind of happened, too. I think, Lando was golfing, and then Lewis Hamilton was like, hey, I'm here.
I'll join
you.
But,
how cool for Lando, because how young is he that he probably, grew up kind of watching Lewis, the peak of his career.
Oh, for sure.
It's pretty much like one of your idols.
Well, and they're both British drivers,
yeah.
Right? So I feel like sometimes it's kind of easy to forget that because we know both Russell and Hamilton and Mercedes, right? Like, full British team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at McLaren, again, also, based in the UK. Piastri's Australian, so it doesn't really work. Where you have, Alpine, right? And, it's a full French team this year.
Yeah.
Between the constructor and the 2 drivers. So I feel like that is kind of fun,
For
right?
sure.
Hometown heroes.
I feel like Lewis would be a good mentor.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And just from what I've seen from him over interviews and just how some of the younger drivers have talked about Lewis, it seems like Lewis really does enjoy mentoring some of the younger drivers. And I could see him, seeing a lot of potential in Lando and wanting to help him out.
Because looking back at old Lewis interviews, too, he's been through a lot, obviously, but also, he was kind of the villain for a couple of years, and he played that up. And then I think just the years that we've seen him, he's just, this chill, kind of, preach peace type of person. But that was not the case, back in the day. So I think he's come, a long way. So I do think he'd be a great mentor to someone like Lando, too, that, has his own side hustles going on, too. And I think that'd be cute.
Well, and it's kind of one of those things where you look at Mark Webber and how he's now the manager for Piastri. And I feel okay, you look at all these F1 drivers and, what do they do after their time on the grid? Right? And, we're still waiting to see, what's Seb going to do? I feel like there's some rumors that he could take a management position at Red Bull, for example. Mm-hmm. But it makes you wonder if people would want to take more individual roles where they're still very involved in F1, but not part of that big team apparatus. And so I feel like Lewis could be one of those people where if he does decide to leave the grid and transition away from being a driver, but still wants to be involved in F1, like I could very realistically see him being a manager, right?
Yeah.
Like for a younger driver and being that like full-time professional mentor and really developing talent. I feel like that's something that he would probably be really good at and like probably really enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm. I think the only other piece of F1 information that I stumbled across these past couple weeks is that they banned bicycles on track walks.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know if it came from this like Stroll accident
Oh my
or
God.
what, but there's a lot of drivers that are like, I'm not going to do that now because, you know, like tracks are like a couple miles long.
Yeah.
And so it takes a pretty significant amount of time to walk the entire thing to like see different changes. You know, they add like different chicanes or like the concrete cement's different. But now that they don't have bicycles, it's not very efficient to get around the track. So there's a lot of drivers that they won't be doing it.
Weird, because I mean, like, the average person's walking pace is what, like 3 miles an hour? And let's say the track is 3 miles. Yeah, it's going to take you an hour to walk around the track. Like,
You don't really have that in an F1 driver schedule, I wouldn't think. You know, like,
it's kind of a lot to dedicate to just checking out what's changed.
yeah,
Maybe they'll bring golf carts.
maybe.
Or like the little mopeds that you see.
I've seen a lot of those like electric scooters.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's any
Any safer. Yeah,
like,
agreed.
That feels like a very weird rule.
Yeah.
As somebody who both rides bikes and electric scooters, I definitely feel like bikes are safer.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
But I will say, I did see an interview with Verstappen, and he said he hasn't done a track walk since 2019.
I
So
believe that.
That makes a lot of sense. Yep.
He's like, if I want to see the track, I'll just go extra slow on my warm-up lap.
That's the most him response I've ever heard.
I mean, I'm not a huge Max fan, but I kind of love that.
I respect it.
Yeah, like credit where credit's due.
I don't have time. I've also, he's probably like, I don't care about the small changes. I've already done that. What's the
sim?
The sim.
Yeah. Big sim racer. I saw like right after Saudi Arabia, he did like a big sim race. I think he ended up winning that one. Well, and there's like video of it, which is really funny because he has like his screen set up, and then he has like the world championship trophy just sitting
my
on top of his
God.
Red Bull mini fridge.
Is it full of Red Bulls?
I think so. I would think so.
Yeah, I feel like they have to.
Yeah.
Product placement.
Right.
That's amazing.
But just like of all things, that's like the most like college guy.
Oh,
You
Right?
know?
he's in that age range.
Like,
Yeah.
you just have the world championship trophy on a mini fridge next
Yep.
to your gaming system. Jesus Christ.
My hot take is that I think Red Bull fills the Red Bull cans with water for the drivers. Because there's no way they're drinking that much Red Bull.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. They have like the straws, like the ones with the straws, like the big straw.
Yeah, I don't think it's-
that's full of like,
Yeah.
like a hydrating drink, not Red Bull.
Like electrolytes or something.
Yeah.
No, I know that, but like with the cans, like I saw him walking around with like one of those like extra large tall boy Red Bull cans. It's like, there's no way that they're drinking that much Red Bull.
I don't
Maybe
know.
they are. I don't know. I'm like maybe they
About
are.
the young 20-somethings, you
That's
know.
true.
Like,
That's
this
true.
man's like 24. Like, think of like the 24-year-olds you know.
Yeah. That's very fair. I just associate Red Bull with vodka because maybe someone drank one too many Red Bull vodkas in college.
This sounds like a personal problem.
In
Fair.
college?
Fair. Okay.
I
Drink
feel you.
espresso martinis now if I need a little caffeine boost.
It's the grown-up version.
Hashtag growth. Yeah, but maybe I just don't enjoy the taste of Red Bull by itself, so maybe that's why I'm like,
No, I feel you. I'm like kind of traumatized. I cannot drink a Red Bull without thinking I'm like, oh, this tastes like vodka. And I'm like, actually, vodka doesn't have a taste. I'm just used to them being mixed together.
Also drink Red Bull.
anything with caffeine.
I feel like if I'm gonna have an energy drink though, I don't drink Red Bulls.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of fun ones to try these days.
Yeah.
Anything else new?
There hasn't been that much paddock drama yet. I'm looking forward to it. I just don't think we've had it yet.
I'm thinking after Australia, things are going to start to pick up.
Agreed.
I just have a weird feeling.
I'm excited for us to be able to watch the race because it'll be Saturday at midnight for us. So
we're going to be drinking some Red Bulls, is what Jackie's saying.
yeah, we're definitely going to need some energy drinks to keep us awake, and we'll be at a bar, so excited.
Will you be drinking your Red Bulls with vodka, Jacqueline?
Probably not.
Maybe we can start with an espresso martini.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that first.
Growth.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this week. We loved having you here. For links to all of our socials, you can check out our website, gridgals.com. And remember, wherever you listen to your podcasts, please like and subscribe.
And that's the checkered flag for this session. We'll catch you back on the grid next week.